How we do this, we are the truest. Got these fangs super sharp, your shit toothless. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish. In the graveyard, acting foolish. Finna dance with the devil to no music. Cold-hearted, yeah we ruthless. All the ghouls in the cut, let's get ghoulish.
Hey folks, it's me, Max Booth, an undead host, back with a new episode of a podcast called Ghoulish. Today's episode features a guest who most of you will be familiar with, John Baltisberger. He has come back to discuss crowdfunding, mostly because he is crowdfunding his new book, Whispers of the Dead Saint. And that crowdfunding campaign has already reached its goal, but you can still help fund it until this Sunday, the 6th, November 6th, I believe. I will have a link to the campaign in the show notes, so go check that out. We talk a lot about crowdfunding in this episode. We talk a lot about TikTok at the end. For reasons, I don't know. It's a fun conversation with a friend of mine, so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you go check out Whispers of the Dead Saint. I've read a few chapters already, a really promising book. I think folks who like that type of stuff will enjoy it. Hell yeah. Also, we have books for sale at ghoulishbooks.com. Go check that out. Lots of fun, spooky books. I think you will enjoy those as well if you like spooky books. And if you like the podcast, consider sharing the show with a friend. And maybe rating and reviewing the show on iTunes. And, you know, those other places you can do that for podcasts. I don't know. We have another episode of the podcast coming up next week with Grant Womack about UFOs and curses. Pretty fun episode, so stay tuned for that as well. After that, I don't really have anything recorded or scheduled to be recorded. Might be taking a bit of a ghoulish break on the podcast. Getting a little burned out with the show, maybe. I don't know. We shall see what happens. Yeah. Alright. Here's my episode with John Baltisberger about crowdfunding. Enjoy. So, John, you came back to the podcast.
I did.
Why?
I two things.
Okay.
I like you as a person.
I like you
and
too.
I also feel I deserve punishment.
Why would this be punishment?
I feel like I generally, for some whatever reason, I tend to make an ass of myself when I'm around you. Like,
that is true.
Full stop. So
true. I mean, even the last time we did a live show in Austin, the Ghoulish show, you did spill a mushroom coffee on you.
I spilled mushroom coffee all over my axolotl costume. Yeah, it was. And, my first thought wasn't, oh no, my costume. My first thought was like, God damn it, I'm not going to live this down either.
We all began laughing at you. It was pretty great. I'm glad I wasn't the only one to witness this for once. We had a whole crowd of folks just pointing and laughing and cracking jokes. I believe Andrew said, "Hey, John, you spilled something."
I don't know, man. I've never thought of myself as like a klutzy person.
I have.
But like over the course of our friendship, I've come to know, I was like, no, I'm pretty goddamn clumsy.
Which is funny because usually I'm the clumsy guy, but now when you're around, you get to take that pressure
Yeah,
off of me.
I wear the throne. The
Yeah,
throne. God damn. All right, well, I wear the crown. I sit in a throne.
ah, depends. Maybe it's a tiny throne that's a crown as well. You could crowdfund something like that, couldn't you?
I I hesitate to admit how often I have crowdfunded useless bullshit.
Well, this is, if folks don't know by now, this is the crowdfunding episode of Ghoulish. So please tell us every useless item you've crowdfunded.
We literally do not have enough time.
Top three.
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
A while back, I Kickstarter, the main crowdfunding site, sent me an email that was like, "Hey, you've crowdfunded so many projects that we want to give you special status as a super backer," which like made me feel good for a minute before I like, wait, how much money have I spent on Kickstarter? And it's a lot, actually. Like it's
You know, when I phrased this question, I had the definition mixed up in my head. I thought you had told me you had launched a crowdfunding campaign for so many useless items,
no, thank goodness,
and I
no.
had no idea about this. I was excited, but this is
I've only launched two
okay.
campaigns, but I have backed 180.
180. How do you find this out?
It's on your profile. Like you can just look at your profile and see everything you've backed,
Okay,
and it'll tell you the numbers.
I'm logging
Uh,
in right now.
oh
Let's see
man.
what if I've done more than you? Would you be impressed?
I think I have to buy you a Coke then, right?
Okay,
Like I owe you a soda.
I'm clicking on profile. I've, no, not even close.
I would.
35, 35.
That's a much more reasonable number than
Yes.
mine.
Okay, the last one I backed was something called a Whispils of the Dead Saint. Do you know anything about this?
Yeah, so that's my project. Thank you for backing. That's the reason we're here today. That's the thing.
And what is this?
So
Oh
Whispers of the
wait. I'm sorry.
oh
I'm going to interrupt you. I'm obsessed overly stats now. We will
yeah,
talk
yeah, go
about
ahead.
this. So what was the last thing you backed? And don't say
So
Whispils of a Dead Saint.
okay, so here I actually have two accounts. One for my company, one for me personally, right? And the last one, the my main account backed is a comic book, a graphic novel retelling of Journey West, like the Monkey King legend from China.
Okay.
Uh, and then before that, a like pocket-sized board game called Dark Tomb.
What was the really filth thing you ever backed?
Man, this makes me so sad. The very first thing I backed didn't get made. They took my money and ran.
Oh, I've had that.
It's happened. I want to say like it's happened 6 times over the course of 180 projects. So like,
How much money did you lose?
let me pull it up real quick
Okay,
because
I'll talk as you do that. The biggest failed. Well, it didn't fail because it got funded, but it didn't happen. They just took the money. Although they still give updates that it's happening any day now. Was the film adaptation of Chuck Palahniuk's Lullaby, and that raised $400,000.
God
And
damn,
I paid $150,
no.
which came with a T-shirt, which I did get, and I do like that T-shirt. But also, it was supposed to come with the Blu-ray when the movie came out, and a ticket to the premiere in Austin. That was like 5 fucking years ago. What if I moved since then, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not happening. Even
Okay.
Even Chuck Palahniuk has gone on record saying, "I have no idea what they did with that money."
Okay, I was wrong. The first few things I backed did get made. The very first thing I backed was in June 2012, and it was a game called Mobile Frame Zero, in which you use like your own Legos to build like a miniatures fighting game.
Okay.
Uh, it's a book. I still have it. It's cool. Funny thing though, if I scroll up a little bit, there's a project I backed, Minis collectible cards printing, This dude was just like doing cool art. You can see this, Max, but no one else gets
Oh,
to.
hold on. I'm not on the screen. Okay. Oh yeah, that's like with the
Like
pinhead.
little
Yeah.
cartoon versions
Okay.
of like comic book and movie characters.
Yeah.
And I backed it for like 50 cards.
Okay.
Um, and the guy's in Austin, so it's like cool. And I never got my rewards. Like exchanged messages with him, never heard back from him. And when I started doing the like book signings and book like writing and going to events, I ran into him.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Hey man." I mean, it's been when was this? Yeah, it's been 6 years, but you owe me a fucking deck of cards, bro.
What did he say?
He laughed and was like, "Oh yeah, that was a long time ago, ha ha ha." I was like, "No, seriously though, give me cards.
Yeah.
You do actually owe me."
Yeah.
He did
Mm.
not though. So,
How do you have one?
that one is one I bought before he launched the project.
Oh, I see. So is the comment section just nothing but people pissed off at him?
No, everyone else. That's the thing. Everyone else got their
Oh!
fucking cards.
Oh my, that's different.
It's just me.
Okay. Because
Seems rude.
sometimes like with the Lullaby adaptation, you see the comments they have tuned on the Cradle once they realize that they
They're not
have
getting their
fucked
shit.
off with the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of projects, one in particular where people are like really like out for blood. Um and I've been part of a few projects where people like lost their shit. Sometimes it makes sense. Sometimes it's just like, man, this project cost you $2. Maybe just like write your $2 off and calm down.
Are you familiar with the webcomic Pictures for Sad Children?
I am not, but it sounds amazing.
Oh boy, oh boy. Okay, hold on one moment. I'm looking at the Wikipedia page just to familiarize myself with it since I haven't read about it in a while. Okay. Okay, yeah. So this was a great webcomic in like the early 2000s. Okay. It began in 2007 and lasted 7 years. It was about a ghost named Paul who featured the comic was like black and white and really like minimalist and depressive and nihilistic. Great
I like
comic.
it.
I loved it. Back in the heyday of web comics, like every day or every week, you would go to the website for the new strip. Basically, you don't
Right.
really see those now. I don't think. At least I've lost touch with them. But in 2012, the Cradle did a Kickstarter campaign and raised $51,615 to create a print version of Pictures for Sad Children.
Okay.
They had originally just wanted to get $8,000, but ended up raising 51K. However, now I'm reading this from Wikipedia. However, in August, a few months after the campaign had concluded, the artist published a lengthy satirical post on the Kickstarter page in which they claimed that they had been pretending to be depressed in order to gain a profit. According to the post, the biggest regret was that they had made it easier for when they described as borderline people to trick themselves into thinking that they are depressed as well. In the post, the artist also stated that they expected that the book would be finished and delivered before the end of 2012. So like a jokey little post with an update, end of 2012. 2 years later, they published a new post in which they confirmed that they were able to ship about 75% of the Kickstarter rewards to the backers, but they were unable to ship any more copies because they had ran out of money. The post was accompanied with a video that showed them setting ablaze 100 copies of the book with an attached threat that burn even more copies. So they just set the rest of the books on fire and filmed it.
Oh, man.
Several years later, in 2021, they did claim that the books that they had burned were just misprints or otherwise unsellable copies, and indicated that everyone who had contributed at least $15 had indeed received their copy. So, bit of a mystery what really happened with that. But I didn't back it, mostly because I didn't know it was a thing.
Right.
Was a thing. I was a big fan of it back in like 2007, 2008-ish. but I found out about this Kickstarter snafu, and yeah, I find it really funny.
That's pretty incredible, really.
Yeah,
The there is there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of weirdness around crowdfunding. Were you aware of the God, I think it was either potato salad or a grilled cheese sandwich Kickstarter?
yeah, I think it was potato salad.
Yeah, I'm almost positive it was potato salad, where the guy essentially set up a joke Kickstarter to help himself buy the ingredients for potato salad, and it memed out and went viral, and he ended up like uh crowdfunding to like the
Fifty-five
magnitude of
thousand,
several $100,000.
55K. I'm looking at.
55. I mean, that's less
Yeah,
than I said, but still
yeah,
a bit more than you need to make a serving of potato salad.
yeah, and I think I believe he ended up throwing like a massive potato salad penalty for everyone to come join him.
Yeah. Um, so there's things like that, which
Yeah.
I think are a lot of fun, but there's also like I backed a game called Lost Paradise that like it looked like they were working on it for a long time, and then it just kept going and going. And there's other things like you and I wrote for a comic book
Yeah.
anthology, and I knew the I knew the people involved, and they still just like fucked off.
I'll be honest,
Uh,
I didn't really feel it as much as copy and paste a 500 build from a novel I was writing.
Maggot screaming.
Yes.
We had a conversation where like I sent the agreement over to you and said like, and you sent back like, hey, uh I'm going to be publishing the novel this is from, so I'm not signing this agreement. I was like,
Well,
okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
well, I mean, so I don't sound like a complete ass. It was just I needed a tweak in the agreement because it said like they had exclusive rights to that for a while, which I couldn't do that.
300 years. It's
300
300 years.
yields.
I don't remember what it was, but
The only other Kickstarter thing I've been involved in, do you know what grim dilk is? The
I
genre?
man, that was the other thing I was going to suggest we talk about is
Okay.
grim dark.
So some folks like I was vaguely friends with one guy involved in this project, and he was big into that genre.
Sure.
I knew nothing about it, and I continue to know nothing about it. But he asked me if I would be interested in writing for this, basically the serialized anthology project that would be a Grimjalk project. They had a bunch of different people attached to it. They got my name attached to it. This was in 2017. I said, yes, I'll do this, despite not knowing what any of that meant. And then they launched it. And then within one day, they said, oh, we're not going to make what we want. And then they just deleted it.
That's not super uncommon. So
Yeah.
so two things. First,
I'm gonna send you the link. Go ahead.
my project, Whispers of the Dead Saint, would be considered grim dark.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
a lot of what I do is kind of grim dark. Either that or straight pulp, right?
Yeah.
But a lot of you know a lot of projects basically with Kickstarter, what you can count on is that the first 2 days are going to kind of set the pace, and then everything until the last 48 hours is going to be a slump.
Okay. That makes sense.
And so if you don't, if in the first 24 hours you're just kind of sitting there like at 2% funded, you're like, okay, this is dead. This is not happening.
That makes sense then, because it was like a day, maybe a day and a half. They had
Yeah.
wanted 29,000 and they had already only gotten 3,500. So they were like, done. I sent you the
Yeah.
link on the Zoom chat.
Yeah, I
Uh,
see that.
Yeah, I'm still not
Pull it up here.
positive what the fuck this was, but I think
Grimdark,
they will offering me a lot of money.
I mean, were they offering you too much money? And I don't mean that like you're not worth the money. I'm just saying like, were they offering you more money than like what they should have?
I don't remember the exact amount, but I do recall at the time thinking this is some money. I could use it. I mean, this was 5-6 years ago.
Yeah. Well, one interesting thing about Kickstarter and gaming in general is that Max, you and I both know what we tend to get offered in writing horror.
Yeah.
It's not like I have a day job for a reason. It's not stupendous.
Right.
Game writing tends to be way higher.
Okay.
Like the last thing I wrote for, I was paid 8 cents a word.
Nice. That's a great payment. Yeah.
Yeah, that was really good. And I like, dude, they paid me a advance, which I
Excellent.
didn't expect, and then I sent it to him, and he immediately sent the payment over for the full price. Followed by like 3 days later of like, hey, I just read this. It's great work. Like you paid me without reading, like.
And that's insane.
So, but because people are crowdfunding and because in general people can charge so much more for game projects, they feel way more comfortable paying writers what we're actually worth.
That makes sense. And like speaking of games, I mean, when I'm looking at all the stuff I've backed, like the two that I am glad I backed the most, real games, and they ended up being super fucking successful. And that was Exploding Kittens, which was crazy successful, and
Yeah, yeah.
Mixtape Massacre. I backed both of those, and those, I mean, I play both of them now.
I know both of those games. Those are good. Those are good
Yeah.
games.
But then I think about the fucking Lullaby adaptation didn't happen. I've tried a few bookshops that try to get funded. Never happened.
Yeah. So I've backed 100 and of those 180, 149 of them have been games.
Oh wow.
No, go back up here.
Oh,
But
I see the thing you're looking at. Mine 6 games.
16.
Most of mine have been publishing of some kind.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Games, let's see. Journalism.
What's that? I mean, I know
Okay.
what that is, but
That was journalism. Bullshit.
You telling me people go out and they witness things, then they go home and they write about it? The fuck?
Oh man, I've backed fashion apparently. Design, that makes sense.
I
Comic
really
books.
thought you were saying fascist at one point. I thought, wait,
That doesn't. That's
sounds wrong.
definitely not my brand.
That sounds wrong.
That's. I really hope I misheard that.
7 comics on my end, 5 film and video, 2 music. All right.
Yeah, music. Music is a thing I've backed a bit. It's been really hit or miss. I found some really cool shit through Kickstarter, but I've also found like some of my least favorite music that I ended up backing because it looked cool at first
Yeah.
through Kickstarter. So one of the crazy things about Kickstarter, I mentioned the if you don't fund in the first 48 hours, it's kind of you have to make some tough choices at that point.
Yeah. What happens when you fund in 2 minutes, John?
You get really excited, and you say it on Facebook. So when I launched Whispers of the Dead Saint, I was on Facebook, doing a live video because I think it's fun to like be live and let people watch you actually like turn the Kickstarter on and like it's an event, right? I turned on live. I said, okay, we're hitting the button to go live on Kickstarter. I hit the button. I talked about the project a little bit, and then I turned back and we had funded in those first like 2 minutes of which is great. Like it's fantastic. It says so I've had a lot of talks about this in the last few days. Part of the reason well, let me step back a second. In every Kickstarter project that I've been a part of, and I've been on the back end of Kickstarters that I haven't created. Like I've helped other people, and I've been part of the team on other projects. There are 3 tiers to your funding. The first tier is what the project funds at. For Whispers of the Dead Saint, that's $500. I will tell you, because we had the creator of Morkborg, the role playing game that is the IP this book is based in, created the cover. $500 didn't cover the price of getting the cover created. So the second goal of your Kickstarter, that no one knows but you, is, at what point can you actually pay for this project?
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you break even?
Yeah.
And then the final level is like your blue sky. When do I get to pocket money?
Yeah. So what will those with you on this?
So our funding goal was 500.
Mm-hmm.
At about 3,000, we could break even. Unfortunately, because this is a really high-end product I'm making, we have to sell a lot of copies. Like, we have to sell nearly 400 copies before I can take home any kind of measurable amount.
Yeah.
But, there's a lot of other factors that kind of go into what makes this count as a successful project.
Well,
I
also,
love work.
Sorry to
So,
interrupt you, but like those ebook ones have to be just straight profit, right?
I mean, yeah. So ebook. I mean,
I see right now
ebook.
it's 71 ebooks sold.
Yeah, which is just kind of rounding down for the math, $210. Because we're selling them for $3 each. A funny story: when I first was putting this together, the team I'm working with to help me put the ebooks at $5 a piece, and because he's used to working in role playing games with like books selling, like ebooks selling for $15.
Wow.
There's a lot more art in them, and you have to pay the artist. But I said, like, hey man, there's no way I can sell a novella ebook for $5. Like,
no,
$1.99 is where I feel good. And he's like, well, since it's attached to the IP, let's put it at $3. So, I was like, okay, I can live with that.
So did you have someone set up the page for you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so I work with a company called World of Game Design.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of professionally run Kickstarters, and on top of that, and maybe more important, they help with like beta reading, they help with promotion, and a big deal for me anyway is they help with distribution. So I get, whenever I kickstart and work with them, they put my books in their warehouse, and then they sell them to like gaming stores.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. And on top of that, they fronted the cost of getting this cover made.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
How did you get connected with these folks?
So one of my friends, a co-host on the podcast I run, Wandering Monster, worked with them on a few projects, and there's an event that Kickstarter has called Zine Quest. Basically, they want to promote indie role-playing game creators to create zines, and they promote the hell out of it and give you greater visibility if you're working on a zine during this month. So I was going to launch a game, Morkabians 1-1, my first Kickstarter project, during Zine Quest, and my friend was like, hey, my other friend's company is looking for projects to help back and help run, and so you should get in touch with them and see if that's a good fit. So we worked together, and Morkabians was really successful. We had 219 backers. I think we raised $5,000 total.
Yeah.
So it worked really well. So, I immediately turned around. I was like, okay, well, let's plan the next project, which was this one. And, we're both publishers, right? we both know that at the end of the day, we've put out books using our pocket change.
Oh
You know, you
yes.
don't need a Kickstarter to publish a novella. Um, but there's more to crowdfunding than the money you get from it.
To me, it seems like a great like way to pre-order a book. Like
So
you
so
get a lot of
yeah,
attention that way, and essentially people are just pre-ordering the book.
that's exactly what they're doing, and that's how I look at Kickstarter. I know there's some people who don't trust Kickstarter who say like, oh, I just feel like it's donating money. I know never expect to get my thing, but I expect to get my shit. If I give you money,
Oh yeah,
I I expect my goddamn thing.
yes,
But it's a great way to pre-order to get pre-orders, and that's the main thing. Kickstarter is a marketing tool.
yeah.
You know, I have now this is a unique project in a lot of ways. And it went viral because of some controversy when I first tweeted about it. But
I have to address the elephant in the room. Do you have a dog snarling next to
I
you?
do.
Okay.
I do.
The the
Beans is
audience
lying
is
next
gonna
to me
want to
just yeah. Yeah, that's Beanie's my
know.
pug.
Okay. So you had some controversy.
There's a little controversy, but because of that controversy, 11,000 people saw that tweet,
Mm. What was the
which
controversy?
I mentioned before that this book is part of an IP. That IP is Morkborg, which is a tabletop role playing game. You and I played it on this show
We
a
did.
while back. Really fun game, really cool setting. Basically, I messaged the creator and was like, "Hey, I would like to write a book or a series of books that takes place in this world in this setting. Um, you have a third party license on this project, meaning anyone can make content for it. Would that third party license cover me creating novels?"
Hmm.
And they said, "Yeah, absolutely, go for it." Great. And so I posted about this project, and uh, basically, the first little bit was that, like, okay, well, how can a novel be compatible with a game?
Hmm.
And there's a lot of answers to that, but the main answer was it's their third party license includes that logo that says compatible with Morkborg. So, like, legally, I needed to have it on there. And then there were also some people that were um, trying to stir up drama. They were trying to call out toxic behavior in the community. Um, I don't know if it was like a specific community or a community at large. I wasn't part of the drama. I tried to stay clear of that sort of thing as much as possible.
The
Um,
community of gaming.
yeah, TTRPG and Morkborg
Okay,
specifically.
I
Uh,
see. So you don't know any details about what
I don't.
that
I
means?
saw their initial post, but it didn't go into it, and I didn't
Hmm.
like click on it to see all the replies and follow the thread.
Okay,
Because I had never interacted with that person.
right.
I didn't know who they were, and I didn't want to, I didn't want to dismiss what they were
Yeah.
saying, because it could very well be valid. The gaming community can be very toxic, unfortunately. But also, like, I also didn't know if they're the type of person who tries to stir up drama for the sake of it. So I felt it was safer just to kind of steer clear of that. I did address the, like, how can a novel be Morkborg compatible? And then I also messaged the person who kind of started that and was like, "Hey, I know a lot of people are being kind of gross and like aggressive right now. I'm sorry that my post kind of set that off, but like," and she was very understanding and very cool about it. So, like I said, it got a lot more eyes. You know, when I self publish a book, there's an
Hmm.
amount of interest in it from friends and family and fans.
Yeah.
Um, that number of people that are interested in watching Whispers of the Dead Saint is triple. Not backers, but the people that have like said follow this project
Yeah.
is much higher than it would be if I had just done this by myself without much fanfare.
Now, those follows, will they also be notified next time you launch a different project? Is that how that works?
So the followers will not. If you follow a project, you'll be notified in the last 48 hours.
Oh, okay.
Which is
I
why
see.
the first 48 and the last 48 hours are the most important.
I see.
So I have 320 backers right now, and I think there's 770 followers. So that's 450 more people that will get notified that the project is ending, and that might back it.
Okay.
However, anyone who backs this project will be notified the next time I launch a campaign, and I can also do updates that will spam them. I have mixed emotions about that. I would prefer people just kind of follow me as a creator than like get spammed by me.
Right. Makes sense.
But I don't know.
So beyond being legally obligated to include the text and the cover, how else would you say this book is compatible?
Yeah, sure. I've written the book. In the back of the book, there's also going to be a new class that you can play in the game with all the stats that you need to do that. There's going to be a monster that you can like put in the game. And then I feel comfortable saying this because I'm going to be announcing it. Our final stretch goal, which is $10,000, if we hit that, I'm going to put in a dungeon in the back of the book that people can actually play through.
Explain what you mean by that to someone who has no idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Okay, so do you remember when we were playing and you went to that like tower and fought through the room? That was what I would call a dungeon.
So you mean you including some text of like
I'll include a map and a text and directions so people can actually like play through a portion of the book.
That's awesome. That's cool.
So it'll actually have like game material that you can play with Morkborg.
That's really cool.
I'm really excited about it. I think that people are going to be pumped, and the art is so good. So part of the reason why my funding, break even, and make money goals are so far apart is I did not scope this project out very well. We're doing it as a Kickstarter exclusive, right? So you have to Kickstart it to get this, but it's a hardcover full color book with glossy pages and a book ribbon, which that's expensive to produce. Much more expensive than I should have done.
Yeah.
But like the art that's being created by an artist named Simone Tometa, who's out of Italy, is incredible. He sent me some of the art already, and it's really beautiful and really cool looking. I'm so excited about it. And like I'm doing more art books, and they're expensive, but like it's really hard for me to get a piece of cool art and then not put it in a medium that's going to let it shine.
Well, I think something that you and I both recognize is it's really difficult to promote a book because you have to read it. You can't just take a copy and paste a random page and go, "Hey, this is what my sentences look like." But if you have like an illustration, that's easy to comprehend.
Yeah. Y'all should read my book. Why? Like, you just actually, okay, this is related to that. When I first launched this project, someone immediately asked, like, "Oh, are you going to put a sample of the writing? Are you going to put like the first chapter on the page for us to read?" and it's a 20,000 word not novella. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I'm not give you the first chapter. Are you crazy?
It would make sense for like an actual like novel, but yeah,
Yeah,
a
well,
novella.
if there was a prologue that was, a couple of pages to kind of give you a taste. But I said to the guy, like, look, dude, I have 12 books out.
Yeah.
You like, if you're curious what my writing is like, you can get it, and you can get it for like 50 cents on Kindle. It's
Yeah.
not a hardship.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Just send them like the first sentence, which I believe is dialogue, if I recall.
it is.
correctly.
It's
So let's
it's
talk about what
dialogue.
this book is about.
So, at the end of the day, what this book is about is a guy named Duds. Or Duds. I don't know what the umlaut. I don't know what that double dot over an O makes it sound like.
Hold on. Did you name this scale, Jill?
I did.
All right, proceed.
Look, okay. His name means Deathbringer in Swedish.
Okay, that makes.
I don't
sense.
know how to speak Swedish.
All right,
But that's why his name is what it is,
Okay.
and my excuse for not knowing how to pronounce his name.
okay.
Rock and roll. So basically what happens is the main character is arrested and forced to help a corrupt noble find his undead wife. The very beginning of the book is a tribute to Christine Morgan, actually. Anyone who's read her splatter western, The Night oh my god, Night Silver River Ran Red? Man, it's a long title and I like it, but it is escaping my brain right now.
It's okay.
Will like recognize like, oh yeah, hey. Because it's the book starts with the beheading.
Excellent.
And it kind of continues that pace. My philosophy in writing, sometimes to my detriment, oftentimes to my detriment, I guess, from reviewers' point of view,
is to always begin with a beheading.
always my romantic comedies are not selling very well.
That's the wrong kind of head, buddy.
But they do better than my my self-help books.
Yeah.
How
they get ahead in life. I hate myself. Go on.
No, I want you to sit in what you've done and think about it.
I'm sitting in something.
Oh no.
It's what?
So my issue is that I really prefer to like get started with action and then keep that moving, and I live in complete terror of the reader getting bored.
Yeah.
Because nothing will stop me from reading a book faster than getting bored. There are plenty of good books out there that I have DNF'd that I have not finished because I was like, okay, well, this is beautifully written, but I stopped giving a shit 12 pages ago.
Right.
Which says a lot more about me as a reader than it does anyone's writing. So like, I don't give readers a chance to get bored. There's always going something's going to happen on the next page. The problem with that, of course, is that like I get a lot of reviews that are like, hey, you didn't spend enough time on character development.
Yeah.
Why aren't these secondary characters more fleshed out? And it's like, well, because I knew they were dying in 3 pages, so fuck them.
Do you mind to give the listeners just a little taste of this book, reading the first chapter to the podcast?
Oh my goodness. I don't want to read the first chapter, but I'll read the first.
I'm joking.
Oh, thank God. I was going to say, I did
Based
that.
off of what we had just said with the guy wanting you to post the first chapter.
Well, actually, okay, but I actually did. I posted the first chapter on, I read the first chapter on YouTube.
Oh.
And I posted that to the page. So you can, I didn't want to, you're going to get more out of reading it than listening to me fumble over it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm not great. I'm not an audiobook reader.
Yeah.
Although I will say the one of our first stretch goals was an audiobook version, and John Wayne Comunale, uh, who is incredible, an amazing audiobook reader, is going to be recording this pretty much as soon as the campaign stops.
You I would love to do an audiobook with you. Will we both read it? Will you read it and then I just make observations?
It's like the director's cut.
Yeah. Like you say the ghoul slail, and I go, what? What's that? And then you have to stop and explain it to me.
Are you
Yeah, terrible audiobook.
This audiobook takes 40 years to listen to. Just every few words. Now hold on.
Is that how you really pronounce that name? I don't think so.
Look, I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, but I know how I'm pronouncing it.
Yeah, that's okay. That's why I stick with simple names in my books, like Max.
I did enjoy, like, okay. So on one hand, I really enjoyed that. On the other hand, it kind of fucked me up.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't help but think about the people the characters were named out after when I was reading Maggot's Screaming.
That's who they were supposed to be. So that's Andrew.
So are you afraid of Miguel stealing Lori? Yeah. Is Lori your mom?
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. This is hot. So one of the crazy things about kickstarting is that slump I mentioned between the 248-hour periods. Over the last like 3 days, we've kind of held firm at one level, at one, like, we've gone up, like, I want to say $200 of the past 4 days, which sounds great, but it's kind of been by the skin of our teeth, because I keep, like, when you run one of these, you just kind of refresh constantly. You watch that number, even though it doesn't help that I'm obsessing over it. Mm-hmm. But like, there's also at the bottom of the page, it shows you activity of like, hey, here's who last gave money, here's someone who adjusted their thing. And so if you're watching it, you'll watch it like drop down as someone cancels their pledge. Mm-hmm. And over the past like few days, so many people have canceled their pledge.
I want to know if that's just common, you know.
It is, especially after Halloween and after like Saturdays. What happens is people wake up after partying and realize they spent way more money than they should have, and so they're like, okay, which of these projects can I cancel?
Yeah.
Or they may see like I did a Kickstarter with a friend, and like he was doing really well, and then a huge IP, I want to say it was like Dark Souls, launched their board game, and like everyone canceled their pledge to him to go like give their money to the other game. And it's like, hey, that's a famous company. They don't actually need the money.
Yeah,
we do.
I've seen some big comic book publishers. Sometimes I'll see like they launch a crowdfunding campaign for a comic series, and it's really obvious they don't need to be doing this. They have the funds, but it's like they're doing it as as a test run to see if this book is even going to have legs.
I backed a Witcher comic the other day because I'm a big Witcher nerd.
Yeah.
I talked to Zach Chapman, our friend, about this, and on one hand, it's like, well, we shouldn't back these things. Like, we shouldn't encourage that behavior because it is shitty behavior. But at the same time, it's like, I do want the thing.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, mixed bag. I think, I mean, it's all about the buzz. I backed a game, the Monster Hunter board game, because again, I mean, I'm a huge Monster Hunter fan, so I was like, okay, I want this. And maybe the price I get kickstarting it will be better than if I had to buy this at retail. That's my thought.
Right.
and uh like they don't like it's the same company that did the Dark Souls game, I want to say, or some big IP. And so like it's on one hand I understand like board games cost a lot of money to make. They cost a shit ton of money to make. On the other hand, I don't know if they're doing it just for marketing to hype people up and to get those pre-sales,
Yeah.
or if they're just doing it to make more money. It's really hard to kind of see if they're just getting pre-orders or if they actually need the support.
I get that. Now,
I
go
sorry.
ahead. No, go ahead.
I couldn't make the Whispers of the Dead Saint like with all the art and the hard cover. I couldn't do that without Kickstarter.
Right.
But like I could have done a soft cover with maybe like two pieces of art. I could have done this without Kickstarter, but it wouldn't have been a cool object. It would have just been a book.
Yeah, and
Um,
also it wouldn't have had like all the interest probably.
yeah, no, exactly. So, I mean, again, that's a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
it lets me do more.
Okay. So say I'm someone who is interested in pot. Oh, before we do this, last time you and I really talked about Kickstarter specifically, there was we were a little afraid because they were talking about
Yeah, yeah,
going
yeah,
the Bitcoin route. Do they
yeah.
just abandon that terrible idea?
They've changed leadership since we had that conversation.
Okay.
I want to, I want to say they did a very subtle corporate backpedaling
Okay.
where they said we're like that like oh we're still re-examining this and looking at all the possibilities when the truth is like okay everyone was getting pitchforks out and screaming at us, so we decided not to do
Okay.
this.
Good. Good.
They could, it could still go any which way, but I
Yeah.
feel like the NFC Bitcoin, uh, like more and more is coming to light where it's just like this is a bad financial decision.
Yeah. Which
So
is
I
I'm
think,
glad.
yeah, no, it's terrible. Like there's nothing good about it as far as I can tell.
No. Um, so I am someone who is considering possibly doing one of these. Not sure yet. It would be for I haven't talked about this yet, but we're going to be launching a new magazine next year. So it would be for that. So if you have any like advice or tips for myself or anyone else interested in like doing a crowdfunding campaign, like what would you give?
I would say first work with someone who has who has done something like this before. Obviously, I hired World of Game Design to help me with this, which has really helped. And they have a big group of backers they can work with. So if you can find someone whose their crowd will be the same as your crowd, that gives you a demographic you get to essentially immediately advertise to. Um, Ghoulish and PMMP has a pretty big following at the moment. And I don't mean that to say it's going away. Hopefully it
It
can only grow.
is.
Hopefully it can only grow unless you really fuck up. Um, but I think there will be, so long as you're not asking for like a really insane amount of money, I think you should be fine with like the growth that you have,
Yeah.
or sorry, not the growth you have, the audience you have should be
Yeah.
sizable enough to really kind of grow what you need it to do. If on the other hand you're wanting it to as a marketing tool to grow a new audience, um, you might need to spend some money on advertising dollars.
Yeah.
But also Kickstarter ads on like Facebook get clicks a lot faster than book ads on
Oh
Facebook.
yeah.
Yeah. Like
Interesting.
because like, oh hey, Kickstarter and some rad art is going to get attention more than, oh that's a book.
You know, the other day, Facebook sent me a thing to the Ghoulish Books page saying, "Hey, that post you just made, why don't you advertise this? We'll give you 15 free bucks." I went, "All right." So I clicked it, and then 20 minutes later, it said, "Advertisement denied." I went, "Well, you suggested
How
it.
about how
It
about
was
you
your
go fuck
idea.
yourself?
It was your fucking idea, Facebook. You come to me and then say, 'Oh, never mind.' Fuck you." So annoying, wasting my goddamn time.
I don't know what Facebook is doing. It's just it seems rude though.
Yeah,
It seems very rude.
I think so. Well, that seemed like pretty good advice. Anything else as far as crowdfunding goes, or this specific project
So
you wanted
okay.
to talk about?
Yeah, so let me just say this. With this book, Whispers of the Dead Saint, with it being like high gloss pages, full color art, the hardback, the book ribbon, that's only available through this Kickstarter. We're not printing more copies. We're not doing more than one run. It's like eventually we'll do like a paperback. We'll get it into Amazon and the Manus Heart Press store. But this edition is a one-time thing. And so that's pretty cool. There's also tiers where you can name characters. And maybe you can name characters whose name I'll understand how to say, or uh, will will be less dumb than my names. But like I said, once this is done, it's done. So if you want this like very first Mork Borg collector's edition book, this Kickstarter is the way to do it. I'm sure Max will put the link somewhere where people can find it. On the other hand, like if you haven't checked out Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all these sorts of things, it's a really cool microcosm and a really good way to find new creators, new artists, new authors, new creators doing cool shit. So I highly recommend checking it out.
And how can folks find you online?
If people are looking for me, I at the moment at the moment I'm still on Twitter. We will gauge how that goes over the next few weeks at Kaiju Poet. You can also find me at kaijupoet.com. And that's essentially it. Like just find me on Twitter or on my website.
You were pretty active on a TikTok as well.
I do things on TikTok. I don't know how effective that is. I'm mostly just yelling about Jewish stuff at the moment.
I'm trying to use TikTok Mule, which is a sad sentence to say on a podcast. Give me some TikTok tips. Jesus fucking Christ, it's difficult to say.
So okay. The thing about TikTok, Max,
Yeah.
is the algorithm is really powerful. So swipe through shit you don't want to see as quickly as possible,
Yeah.
and then follow the stuff you do want to see as quick. Like, so when I was setting up Desiree with TikTok,
Yeah.
I followed like every dog I saw. If I
Yeah.
saw a dog, I followed it.
Yeah.
But Desiree will see, in perfect example, Desiree will see someone like selling leggings. I'm like, oh, those leggings are cute. I will watch this video. And then 3 minutes later, it's nothing but like women in leggings advertising their OnlyFans.
So it counts how long you watch a video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about as someone who's trying to attract a massive following? What do I need to do? What am I doing wrong? What do I need to do differently? What do I need to do more of?
You need to do more thirst traps.
Like drinking liquids? What do you mean?
I mean, like pouring liquids over your feet and letting people like watch that.
Like drinking a cup with a lid on it, but there's no mouth hole. It's like, I'm so
Like drinking-
thirsty.
what
It's
you
trapped
really need-
inside.
What you really need to do, Max, is very slowly open a can of real ale seltzer and pour it over your feet.
Andrew already did this.
Oh no. I think right, he did.
He did.
I will say I think jokes and videos of your dogs is the right way. I think you're on a good path.
All right.
My path of yelling about Jewish stuff is not the right path to attract a crowd.
Okay. What about duets? What's the deal with those?
I I don't know if they're good at building an audience. I do a lot of stitches where like I cut into someone else's video and respond to their video.
I thought that was a duet.
No, the duet is when you're like the pictures side by side.
Oh, okay.
The problem with duetting is like it's hard to do anything but like, oh, look what they're doing. And that feels like shitty.
Look at this guy.
Look at this
That's
motherfucker.
fucking. I've seen some of him of this chef in a baseball cap. He does those. He's
I
like,
know the guy you're talking
this
about.
guy,
He's
this
very
guy's
angry
making
about it.
food. Why are they making food this way? Ah!
Yeah. He has a
He's
very
pretty funny.
monotone voice.
Yeah, he's pretty funny.
Have you seen him critiquing the chocolate guy?
Maybe. I don't know. I've
Chocolate
seen a
guy's
lot
very
of,
good.
I've seen a lot of videos with him.
I watch a lot of food and a lot of dogs, and that's about all I can stand.
Not seeing many dogs. Mostly just people cooking or just random.
I'm gonna send you videos of good dogs to follow.
Okay, yeah, do that. Sometimes I get a lot of book videos and like people showing a list of books they have, and
I did one of those the other day.
I watch them. I wait, and I think did I write one of these books? And never was something I've written.
It's not
but
just me.
then I swipe away. No
Okay.
like until it's a book of mine.
Well, if you, there were two books of yours in my last book list video.
I need to see that one.
There's a book thing where it's like, oh, show me a book with this, and show me a book with this, and one of the categories was zombies, and I did maggot screaming, and another category was witches, and I did we need to do something.
Hell yeah, I need to watch these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't have popular books. Wow, that sounds mean. I don't have popular books. I just have indie books. So
Here's the thing with being like genuine on TikTok, because I know a lot of the videos in the whole community. It's just like, this is a book I'm reading and I'm liking it. Well, here's some good books you might like. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to be helpful. I just have to say stupid things like, this is a misconception about eating human feces. Like that's what I go to. And I don't know how that helps me sell anything.
I enjoyed that video. I shared it with Desiree, who enjoyed it less than I did.
She disagreed.
She thought that it was obvious, but like, how is it obvious unless you try it? Is my whole thing.
Everybody I know thinks that.
Everyone I know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I like, it's weird what seems to grow. I mean, what grows on all social media is controversy and being shitty. And if you're not going to be shitty, you need to be sexy. And if you're not going to be shitty or sexy, then you're kind of out of luck.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I have trouble because I'm shitty but not shitty enough.
Yeah.
And I'm sexy, like really sexy, but like probably too sexy. So
There's a reason we got into writing.
so don't have to look at our fucking faces.
It's really unfortunate. Like TikTok is like the place to be if you or someone who is in entertainment, you know, if you're not already rich. It's like I like to I would just prefer to hide behind a book I'm writing. Then you just read that, and that's all that's necessary. I don't want to have to fucking perform for you like a street juggalo.
Street juggalo.
I didn't mean to say juggalo, but I'm sticking with it.
That's very good. I when I first started doing TikToks, I was trying to do like little horror poems or horror haiku, but it wasn't getting any traction, so I stopped.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think reviews, I mean, man, this is an entirely different conversation, but so a friend of mine in the extreme horror side of things, which you and I don't really write extreme horror. Some of my stuff is more gory and splattery, but I don't like, it's not extreme. But a guy who does do that, Aaron Beauregard, super sweet guy. he went like he didn't go viral, but someone who reviewed his book went viral because he writes super extreme, super upsetting stuff.
That's what happened to my buddy Alec LaRocca. They wrote a book called oh fuck, I'm blanking on the title.
Is it We Need to Know it
something since we last spoke?
Things have gone worse since we last spoke.
Oh yes, thank you. Great novella. I've read it.
Mhm.
They great writing. Took off on TikTok, and now I mean they sold like fucking thousands and thousands and thousands of copies.
Yeah,
how do I get that to happen with a maggot screw?
There has to be a moment in the book that causes whoever's reading it to like put down. It's like, whoa, fuck! It has to shock people into kind of a visceral reaction.
My next book is going to have an intermission scene. Well, the reader is directed to stop reading, pick up their phones, and recruit to TikTok. Yeah, that's it. That's how you do it. You give them directions mid-prose.
I am looking forward to seeing how that does.
Okay.
I have there's a woman who some people who are listening will probably know of. Her name is Michelle Shocked. She was kind of a folk punk singer back in the day. She was also in a band with my mom back when she got married.
What band is this?
I can't remember what their name of their band was. Fistful of Rage, or no, it was probably like Texas Back Road Duet. Look.
Okay.
The thing is, Michelle went on and like got a big name for herself. And she got a big name for herself as kind of like a counterculture lesbian icon. Mm-hmm. The thing is that Michelle is not only not a lesbian, she's like evangelical.
Okay.
And so she put like this thing upset her, and she ended up like putting out this like gospel music album that really alienated her entire audience, her queer audience. And so that went on for a while, and then she went to San Francisco, and there's a point to this story. I'm not just babbling. She went to San Francisco, and she basically said on stage like, well, you know, we're worried that if this proposition passes, they're going to force pastors to get married to gay marry at gunpoint. And San Francisco, quite justly, was like, hey, this is some crazy bullshit, crazy bigoted bullshit. How about not? To which Michelle began saying like, no, you tweet out that Michelle Shocked that said, and then she proceeded to say terribly homophobic things. But she like was demanding that people tweet it and TikTok it.
All right.
And she did go viral. Maybe not in the way she was hoping, but I'm saying all that to say, like, your plan has merit.
Oh, I see.
Be a huge bigot and demand people share it, and
all right,
you're there.
Now I know how to do the intro to this episode.
Uh-oh.
And that was John Baltisberger talking about crowdfunding. Go support his new book, Whispers of the Dead Saints. Then go on over to Ghoulish Books, buy some spooky books, leave a review of the podcast on the places you can do that. Thank you.
Live spooky, die spooky.
Rest in peace, Max.